I would like to start this by saying that before these events, I had never encountered the Slenderman in many stories, just 2 or 3. The Rake, however, is a different matter entirely. This started in December of 2010. I just discovered creepypasta stories through a friend of mine. She refused to let me give her name, so in true internet fashion, I'll refer to her as Herp. Herp showed me the classic Rake video, where he ran through the bushes for about a split second. I loved that video. I watched it several more times before a comment linked me to 4chan. Now I knew of this site before, but I never knew of the X thread. This is what led me to finding all these sort of creepypastas. Now after about a month of this, I got tired of X. One thread had an anchored text simply reading, "The Rake." I clicked it and it brought me to YouTube. The Rake first sighting video, but it was by a different user. The user had only videos about the Rake. It had Vicious 516 videos and Mr. Creepypasta's videos. I loved it. After spending more of my life watching all these Rake videos, I found myself obsessed. I wanted to know if he was real, if the Rake actually existed. So I did as any teenager does when they want to know something. I googled it. Lo and behold, I found account after account of the Rake. Now, I'm not stupid. Well, that's debatable, but I'm not easily fooled. I knew most of these were bogus, but on all the other ones with comments attached, I saw a recurring commenter, a guy by the name of Stifferman. Always that name, no matter what the website was. He would correct people, actually tell people that their details were wrong. Things like, "Nice story, but he can't go that fast," or "I love it." A word of advice though, his claws are about a foot long, not 11 inches. This guy seemed pretty legit, so I looked for him. It was hard as the name was the same as a troll pasta, Rule 34 Slenderman, some weird shit for sure. But I finally found a blog by a guy of the same name. He had been posting about the Rake for a while, and I noticed something. Nothing was really realistic, at least not by what we say is real, but it sure as hell was believable. I sent him a few emails about the Rake, emphasis on few. It took him a while before he responded. All his email said was, "He's legit." I assumed he was the Rake. I told Herp, and she said just that it was some crazy guy. Someone more obsessed than me. Herp always looked down on my love for the Rake. She thought I should just let sleeping dogs lie, but dumb old me wanted to poke him with a stick. I wanted to know if the Rake was real. Just that. I sent out an email back to Stifferman, as if he had proof. If there was any cold evidence that the Rake was real. A picture or a video or something. It was a few long months before I got a response. This time it was an address. I knew the location, a coffee shop that was very popular in my town. My initial thought was, how the fuck did he know I live here? But I wanted to go, and I brought Herp with me. We showed up the next day around noon, when traffic started to pick up. I remember Herp saying it was so rude of him not even to leave a time for us to show up. We had no idea how he would know who was Stifferman, much less if he was even there. It's not like in the movies. You can't just walk up to the counter and ask if there were reservations under the name Stifferman. Aside from being completely weird, it would also be illogical. There were no reservations at a freaking coffee shop. We did, however, know when Stifferman walked through the door. He looked about 20 years old, and he was wearing a Mr. Creepypasta Storytime t-shirt. Me and Herb approached him, and asked if he was in fact Stifferman. He confirmed it, and handed me a disposable camera. I was excited, needless to say, and so was Herb. That surprised me. I asked her later about this, and she said it was just like being spies or something. I looked away from the camera to thank Stifferman, but he was gone. Not like the eerie, "Oh my god, he disappeared." No. He was just not there. He walked away. Herp and I went to a Walgreens to develop the photos at one of those 1-hour photo places. While we waited, we discussed the Rake. How could Stifferman get photos of him? If the Rake was a ghost or a demon or something, and most important, if he was real, then what other creepypastas were? The talking kept us occupied for the good 37 minutes, I'd say. It took him to develop the images. The man behind the counter handed over the pictures with a piece of paper on top. I asked what it was. He said it was wrapped around the film. The paper was a note written in black Sharpie. These are the photos of him as you requested. I took them knowing it would cost me my safety. He doesn't like to be photographed. And he will also come after you if he finds out you have these. Do not publish these images. Signed, Stifferman. The pictures were, as promised, pictures of the rake. Herb was uneasy by the letter, and begged me to burn the pictures, to just end it. But me, well, I wasn't gonna do that. The world had to know. It had to. Everyone needed to know. So I posted one of the pictures all over the internet, on the X thread, on DeviantArt, on Reddit, and of course on Imager. Herb at this point was paranoid of the rake. The pictures were real, so how do we know the warning wasn't real? I was willing to risk my life to let people know about this. Weeks went by with no change. Herb was on the edge in school, and more so after school. She started seeing things. Like she said she saw shadows moving at night. She said she saw lots of dead animals. So I offered her to stay at my house. My parents knew me and Herb had been friends since we were kids, and they loved having her over. So she stayed the night. It was Friday and we stayed up late. Everything seemed fine, but then, right around 9 o'clock, Herb saw something strange. Did you hear that? Like scratching along the window? I looked at the window. No, I don't see anything but that stupid tree. Maybe it rubbed on the window. We aren't safe. We'll never be safe. You shouldn't have put those pictures online. What makes you say that? Think really hard about why you said there was a scratch. It's just the tree in the wind. Jonah, you don't have a tree in your front yard. I got really scared. Herb was right. I didn't have a tree there. Slowly, I stood and walked over to the window. I put my hand on the glass and looked out. There was a shadow on the ground. A shadow of something on 4 legs. It looked very much like a human. He had claws. It was the rake, and it looked back at me. I whispered to Herb that I mistook the claws as a branch, but I was wrong yet again. The rake dashed off, and I was scared to the bone. We didn't sleep. That might not have to be said. We stayed away all night with my air rifles loaded with my copper BBs. The rake never showed up. Fast forward to the next night. We couldn't stay awake another night in a row. As 16-year-olds, it wasn't physically possible with some energy drinks. Something my mom swears will kill your liver with all the nasty toxic stuff they put in it. We crashed at about 8 o'clock. It was the best damn 4 hours I ever slept. I dreamed about when I was a kid playing on the playground without my parents. I was just a rebel like that as a kid. I say 4 hours because I woke up at the sound of scratching on my window. It's outside, I whispered to Herb. No, she mouthed. I glanced out my window without moving. My window sits opposite of my bed, so it was a bit of a strain. There, right the fuck there, was the rake, running his claws against my window from the inside. I screamed. What else could I do? The rake pounced. He jumped at me and reared back his claw. I thought I was dead, but he was stopped. Some impossibly black force had hit the rake smack in the face before he got me and sent him sprawling to the floor. I had no clue what that force was. Now I know. Those branches were fingers. The tree I'd never had was a body. The rake hadn't opened the window. He'd just smash it. Something else wanted to be in my room. When I looked up, I knew who it was. I read a story about this figure. The figure was tall and didn't have a face. It was the Slenderman. The rake was quick to recover. He hoisted himself up and lunged back at Slenderman. A black tendril slammed into the rake's ribs and made a loud crack. The rake hit the floor on his back and rolled to his feet. He was cautious now, like a lion. He began walking slowly in an arc around Slenderman. Herb inched out of bed and tried to run. I hadn't noticed until I heard that scream, the blood-curdling shriek of my best friend getting attacked by a monster. The rake got a few good swipes at her. Slenderman, for whatever reason, wanted her not to die, and pulled the rake off. I remember reading about him being ruthless and eating children. He never protected them. The rake gave a swipe at Slenderman's arm, and it looked as if he simply fell through him. Slenderman started pulling at the rake's arm while he held his body. It was like he was pulling apart a doll. After the first pop, I snapped out of my awe. The rake, despite being a monster, was something I was deeply attached to. I couldn't let the Slenderman kill him. "Stop! Don't do it!" The Slenderman looked at me. Well, pointed his head at me. "You can't rip his arms off or kill him." To this, Slenderman's head cocked a bit in confusion. "Okay, I thank you for helping me, but I can't let you kill the thing I've spent so long chasing. I wanted him to be real. Now that I know he is, you can't take him." There was a long silence. Slenderman dropped the rake and turned to me. He moved slowly and reached out his left arm. I was horrified. His fingers wrapped around my face, and then black. I awoke the next morning in a hospital room. Not for me, it was for Herb. She was badly hurt with multiple cuts along her face and chest. I was upset about my friend being hurt, but I'd be lying if I said I was upset about the events that night. I not only got paid off for a long period of work, but I also saw proof that creepypastas aren't based on fiction. Slenderman and the rake are both real. I haven't seen Slenderman since. I saw evidence of him everywhere. That tree that isn't supposed to be there. The dreams of a suited man on a playground. I even see him in old photos of me. The Slenderman must have been following me for years. When I asked my mom about the shadows that appeared only in pictures of me, she just smiled and said, "Me and your dad used to call that your angel. They only ever appeared in pictures of you." Funny, but I haven't thought of that in years. As for the rake, I haven't seen him for a long time. I kinda miss the thrill of chasing him. I miss knowing he was out there without proof. Maybe he'll come back.